So I'm Richard Gale. The module is Cities, which I co-teach with Geoff DeVerteuil, and it's an introduction to urban geography for first years on the Human Geography and Geography and Planning programmes.
The aim of the module is to introduce students to urban studies and urban geography more generally, whether they're in planning or in geography or both. And it's about the fact that half the world's population now live in cities, and that we need to get an understanding, or give the students a basic understanding of what cities are about, how they've been approached, basically. So the module, as it will stand, will focus on, I think, three major areas. One is migration, one is globalization, and I think the third one is probably on inequality. And these will be large themes that then will focus particular case studies. And the students will hopefully have an appreciation not just for kind of local urbanization processes, but also more global. So we insist that the students learn something that just goes beyond the UK, basically.
Well, fundamentally, it's an introduction to urban geography. I mean, it starts from some key contemporary themes. As many people would know, it's now well over 50% of the world's population that lives in urban areas, including cities. Cities are increasingly important in driving the global economy. You know, we talk in urban geography often about a hierarchy of cities, global cities which host the big banks, the big corporations, London, New York, Tokyo, Paris, and so on. So we look at those issues, the economies of cities, how they link across the globe, but also what's happening within cities. We're interested at multiple scales, how different areas within cities take shape, and how they transform. So we're interested in sort of the demography of cities. We're interested in, and this picks up on other themes in other modules, in the link between identity and place. So urban areas become sometimes cultural areas. They become identified with a particular ethnic group, particular religious group. And we also look at the politics of that. We look at how urban spaces become the foci for urban movements and relationships with urban government. So it's an introduction to each of those key themes.
Let's just take globalization. I'll learn what globalization is, and then we can connect it to cities through the idea of global cities, and then give case studies on how global cities, say London, for example, are different than, say, places like Cardiff, although all cities are touched by the global, but some cities are more global than others, I guess. So that's what we talk about on that particular topic. We'll probably introduce a bunch of other urban issues like gentrification, inequality, homelessness, migration, segregation, and then hopefully work them through in the second and third years as well, so we can have a flow, a transition.
Well, what students will learn is how geographers approach urban processes, urban issues. So it's an introduction to a kind of subdiscipline of geography. But they also learn critical thinking skills. They learn to evaluate different theories of the urban. So they look at topical issues, and they learn about those, of course, but then they look at how different topics can be approached from different theoretical standpoints. So, for example, we look at gentrification and how that can be looked at from the point of view of class relationships, or it can be looked at from consumption patterns, lifestyle patterns, and so on. They look at development issues. So, obviously, on the one hand, a lot of theories tend to focus upon cities in the global north, but we're also interested in, because we're interested in global relationships, what's happening in urbanising areas in the global south. So they learn about a lot of topics and a lot of theoretical issues in terms of how those topics are framed.